John, earlier when you were talking about offensive line at 25, you said, hey, there's options there maybe at wide receiver if you think you need wide receiver later. Are you pretty comfortable with the day 2 wide receiver crew, which is, it's any number of different guys, the Iowa State kids, Besh from TCU. You seem pretty comfortable snagging a guy or two from that area.
Very, because I've got a number 1 wide receiver already. I got Nico Collins. And depending on how Christian Kirk is perceived, I mean, I feel very comfortable. I'm not asking Jack Besh. I'm not asking Jaden Higgins. I'm not asking Jalen Noel to come in and you have to be my number 1 wide receiver because my wide receiver group is just ass. It's not. It's just not. It's not as deep as it needs to be. It needs one more playmaker. It needs a Jalen Royals. I really like the second. I really like this day 2 receiver mix because of that. Because I think, Jalen Royals to me after the catch as dynamic as it gets. Jalen Noel from out of Iowa State, start, stop, sudden change of direction. More a slot guy, but the ball gets in his hands and something good is happening. And you talk about separation. Amico's talked about it. Jalen Noel from Iowa State. Jaden Higgins, my comp for him is Nico Collins. So I don't know if that's a little repetitive.
I'll take it.
I'll take 2 Nico Collins, please.
I'll take 2 Nico Collins with a large Diet Coke supersize.
And look, I'm good with it. So between Royals, Higgins, Noel, Besh, Savion Williams from TCU becomes all kinds of interesting because he's 6'3", 225, and they would put him in a gun and run him. He had 61 rushes last year at TCU. I mean, he's a freakazoid. So I am very, very comfortable with the day 2 guys at wide receiver. Where I'm not as comfortable are with the day 2 offensive linemen, like we talked about. Erante Irsay, like not as comfortable with that guy. I do think Jared Wilson from Georgia probably gets overdrafted because he's the best center of the group. And I like him. Don't get me wrong. I really like Jared Wilson. But to me, he should probably be top of the 3rd, bottom of the 2nd. He's probably going to go mid to high 2nd because he's really kind of the best center that's out there. I'm trying to think who else in that day. Like Charles Grant from William & Mary in his zone scheme, man, and he looks the part. Long arms, can move. Really would like him. Marcus Embo from Purdue. Like, I feel better about the wide receivers as a whole in that day 2 group than I do the offensive linemen, for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's kind of why my thoughts on offensive line, you stay at 25, is, a Booker, a Zabel, Donovan Jackson, I feel good about. And then getting a Jalen Royals or Jalen Noel or whatever. And I'm not going to get lost in this. Well, Christian Kirk's a slot, so I can't draft the slot. I don't give a damn. Whoever can catch the football, first of all, get open, then catch the football and do something with it after the catch, I'm happy with. And oh, by the way, last year, our quick game went to shit. It went like our quick game was gone. Once Diggs went down, we had no quick game. I don't know where it went. It was like, Stephon Diggs is hurt. We can't throw a quick. Like, where's the 3-step speed out? Like, what are we doing? And I think if we had any more wide receivers that can just get separation, get open quickly, steal 5 to 7 yards, we're going to be in much better shape. So I like a lot of those guys in the 2nd round and early 3rd round to be able to do that at wide receiver.
You like Trey Harris from Ole Miss?
Yes. Now, the one thing with Harris, and I've heard this from a couple of people, the problem with Harris is the soft tissue stuff. That he's had some soft tissue injuries in the past, and that's kind of held him back. And I actually had somebody at the Senior Bowl. I was talking to somebody at the Senior Bowl that knows Ole Miss, and they said if Trey Harris is not a first rounder, then teams are not comfortable with that soft tissue stuff. Like, that's the reason, because Trey Harris is hella talented. I mean, he has got he's had some concentration drops. He had a big drop early in the game against LSU that could have changed the whole game on a deep route. But ball skills, concentration, body control, start-stop ability for a guy that size, I think is really impressive. So, I mean, shoot, if you're sitting there at 39 and Trey Harris is on the board, I'd be all about that. And I also think, just you think about Nico size, what Nico brings. And then you think about Christian Kirk, and Kirk's probably in the slot. I think Trey Harris is the perfect complement to those two, given his size, given where he can hurt teams. But I think also having Trey Harris, if you were to put Trey Harris in that mix with Kirk and Nico, you still have the ability with all three of those guys. Kirk running slot fades, Nico 9 routes, post routes, and things. Harris doing the same thing. You have deep threat ability with all those guys. If you put Kirk on the field with Nico, with some of the guys that are already on the Texans receiver core, I don't think you get that third element of being able to take it deep. And I think you just have to, in today's game, you got to have dudes that threaten deep, or they'll just sit in quarters and just break on everything that they throw in front of you. And I think we found it out last year. We just stopped going deep, and teams just started, kept playing quarters or, split field coverage, and just like, we're not going to let you, you're not going to go deep. We're just going to camp and make sure we take away the things inside. And I think a guy like Trey Harris can you can explore deeper things with him. He kind of becomes our poor man's Christian Watson if that happens.
Another guy that's kind of been polarizing in here. I'm not going to tell you who feels what type of way about him, but we're sticking with the wide receivers. Kyle Williams, where are we at on Kyle Williams?
I love Kyle Williams. Absolutely freaking love Kyle Williams. And, everybody points to what D'Amico said about receivers. I don't know if it was the combine or wherever he said it, but he talked about separation. Kyle Williams gets separation in a phone booth. And if nobody knows what a phone booth is, look up Austin Powers. You'll see it. This dude is, he's got shape and he's got speed. But to me, what impressed me at the Senior Bowl was the way he snatched the football. What impressed me before the Senior Bowl was his ability, once he caught the ball, turning into a really damn good running back. An explosive, scary, he can run away from me running back. So I think you get all of that with Kyle Williams. Now, I don't love the fact that he's not a big guy. And I think some of the things that they would want him to do or want the receiver to do, hey, be really good on slants. That's a little tougher when you're a little bit smaller, but he's got such good, he can shape DBs with his releases really, really well. Good hands to great hands, and can fly. Now, I don't know which one of you is allergic to that, but you probably need to go get tested.
It's me.
What's your problem with Kyle Williams?
It's
not Matthew Golden. Look, he's not going to be Matthew Golden.
No, I don't like him, and I think the competition was a little bit rocky last season. I think there was a lot of stat padding. I'm not a big Kyle Williams guy.
And that's the thing. When I don't even look at stats. Like, I'll look at them to put in a scouting report to kind of give a little nugget because I know people that read it, they want to know what the stats are. But I couldn't tell you what Kyle Williams' yards per catch is. I couldn't tell you how many catches he had. I just know that when I go to the Senior Bowl and I watch him, I'm like, I don't give a damn what the rest of those. This guy caught 145 balls. I don't give a damn because they probably threw him 30 bubble screens a game. But when I watch him go against the best that college football had to offer, there wasn't anybody there that could cover him.
Yeah, you were at the Senior Bowl, and you made Stoots happy with that